have a blessed Christmas and a happy New Year. Please welcome Toastmaster Mark Shear.
Imagine yourself as a young child, tucked in bed on a cold winter's night. It's late. You lie there motionless, and you hope to hear that distant sound of sleigh bells. Before you know it, you end up falling asleep. And suddenly, you awake and you make a frantic dash to the Christmas tree, which is surrounded by a sea of gifts. Sure enough, you missed him again, but you know Santa Claus was there. Only cookie crumbs and a few sips of warm milk remain. Yet something happens as we get older. Santa Claus begins to fade away. And although he is now gone, most likely he was real in your life at one point in time, solely because your mother and your father said that he was. As real as Santa Claus is to a child, good morning, fellow Toastmasters. As you get older, and as we together get older, others become very real in our lives. Each one of you in this room, if you know it or not, has a role model or somebody that has impacted your life. In most cases, you never met them, you haven't spoken with them, and you may not even know what they look like, yet you wouldn't question their existence for $1 million because you read about them in a history book, maybe on social media, or somebody told you about them. Take Christopher Columbus, for instance. Man, that dude had a really cool job. He was an Italian navigator and explored the world. And we know in 1492, he sailed the ocean blue to discover the new world, and discover he did. And the very fact that he discovered tropical islands like San Salvador, Antigua, Puerto Rico, they're not questioned. But please, raise your hand along with Toastmaster Roy Shear if any of you set sail with Columbus and his crew in 1492. Let's look at the life of Abraham Lincoln. It is a fact that he was born in 1809 in a one-room log cabin. And we all know he served as the 16th President of the United States, and in 1863, he moved to eliminate slavery. And we also know that Lincoln died with a fatal bullet to the head fired by John Wilkes Booth. But were any of you in that devastating balcony that night? Think about the impact that this one man has made on humanity to this very day. And what about Neil Armstrong, the first man that ever walked the face of the moon? Who of you were there when he stepped on that lunar surface and stated, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind"? This could go on and on. I could talk about historical figures that through their very existence have impacted and altered not only our lives, but will impact the lives of our children's grandchildren. And the very fact that they did exist is not dependent on whether you knew these individuals or not. You know that they lived because someone wrote about them. And you were able to see today in your own life what they did. So that leads me to one man. A man who has made more of an impact on humanity than any other human being that has ever walked the face of the earth. In fact, our very calendar is based on this one individual. Our court systems and our laws have been established because of this man's characteristics and personal attributes. Nations all over the world have engaged in war because of this man's influence. One is going on today. Let me quote from a poem called "One Solitary Life." 19 centuries have come and gone. And of all the armies that have ever marched, and all the navies that have ever sailed, and all the parliaments that have ever sat, and all the kings that have ever reigned, Nothing has impacted the life of man as much as this one solitary life. And what's ironic is that the greatest history book ever written described this man's life in detail. It was written by people who ate with him, walked with him, laughed with him, and cried with him. Yet there's been no other human being that has ever been more rejected or denied than he. No, this is not Santa Claus, but he is the true reason we celebrate Christmas. He's not about fighting crowds or racing from one party to the next. And he's not about spending a bunch of cash on Amazon for those that are close to us. But he is all about being kind. He is all about being loving. And he wants every single one of you in this room to live your life helping and supporting others. So during the hustle and bustle of getting prepared for this Christmas, fellow Toastmasters and guests, let's all take time to remember a man named Jesus. He is the reason for the season. Merry Christmas.